Brothers throw hands. Everybody gritting, getting grants. Kansas City where the pretty women make it say damn.
Hey you guys, it's me Bossy. Welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to pick from my list of story times that I'm gonna do for y'all today. So let me go to my list. Which one am I gonna do today? Okay, so today's story time that I'm going to be doing today is going to be sneaking out of the house and getting busted. And if y'all can hear these crickets, or y'all hear that? I don't know what you call those kind of outside bugs when it's getting kind of dark. That's what that noise is. So anyway, you guys, let's go ahead and get into this story. So this story happened when I was an actual teenager. The girl wasn't pregnant. The girl was messing with Bob. This story involves myself and one of my good best friends, Ebony. So this happened when I was in 11th grade and I was dating Bob. And my father really did not want me having a boyfriend at all. He actually really didn't even know I had a boyfriend. This particular day, Bob and I were talking. He had wanted me to come over to his grandmother's house to spend the night. We had already became sexually active. Yes, hot to try. We had already became sexually active, but he had asked if I would spend the night over his grandmother's house with him. And I was kind of like, yeah, okay, I will, you know. So we had to come up with a plan. He was just like, how you gonna get over there? Like, your daddy's not gonna bring you. And I was like, I already know that. But I told him, I said, I got this. I'm gonna figure something out, but I will be at your grandmother's house tonight. This was actually on a Friday night, so it was the weekend. So after school let out and everything, I called my best friend, Ebony. I was like, Ebony, we got things to do tonight. She was like, what are you talking about? And so to let y'all know, my best friend Ebony also messed with one of Bob's cousins, and we're gonna call him Clark. I told her, I'm trying to go to Bob's grandmother's house tonight, and you know Clark is gonna be there, so why don't you tell your grandmother, because she lived with her grandmother. I said, why don't you tell your grandmother that you're gonna spend the night at my house, and I'm gonna tell my father that I'm spending the night at your house. The thing is, it was not gonna be unbelievable, because on the weekdays she spent the night at my house, because we all went to the same school. Sometimes on the weekdays I spent the night at her house. On the weekends she went with me to my mom's house sometimes. Like, we were together basically almost every week, every weekend. She basically lived with me and I lived with her. She was like, okay, cool, we can do that, we can do that. Tell me what your grandmother says and call me back and I'll tell you what my dad says. So she asked her grandmother. She called me back probably within 5 minutes or so, something like that. And she was like, yeah, I'll be down there in a little bit. She said that I can. And so I had called my dad while he was at work. He wasn't home yet. And I was like, Daddy. He was, what, bossy? That's what my daddy always said to me anytime my call sounded crazy. I was like, Daddy, Ebony's grandmother said that I could spend the night. I was just saying if it was okay with you if I could go ahead and spend the night. And he was like, where's your brothers? And I was like, oh, remember my uncle picked them up, which is my dad's brother, to go to his house. He was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So I was like, is it okay if I go, if I lock the house up and stuff? He was like, yeah, just go ahead. You should make sure you lock up the house real good. And I was like, all right, I love you, Daddy, bye. So we was good to go on both ends. Ebony was cleared to come down to my house and I was cleared to go down to her house. So I hurried up and, you know, got myself all freshened up and things like that. And I also grabbed a change of clothes because when I came home the next day, I had to have something on different, of course, and I needed to change because I'm sure some stuff we didn't have no business doing was going to go down. Also, y'all, let me just say this. His grandmother was really cool. And she had a house where we would be in the downstairs basement. It was a finished basement. And she was older. So she didn't, I'm sure she knew stuff was going on down there. But she kind of didn't. And now as I'm older and, you know, I have children. That stuff was so freaking disrespectful. Because if it was my kids, I'd probably lose my shit. Like, I'm sorry. But she had to have known, like, she had to have known this. But they used to have all kind of girls in and up and out of there. Eventually, you know, as I dealt with him longer, I found all of that out. But anyway, y'all, I'm not condoning any kids. Matter of fact, I hope kids aren't really watching me like that. I hope it's more upper age adults or people my age. But yeah, I'm not condoning to do stuff like this. This isn't cool. I'm just telling my story of what I did as a silly, stupid teenager. Anyway, you know, we meet up halfway up down the block. She lived down the block and I lived up the block. So we met halfway. She had her bag, I had my bag. We was good to go. What we were gonna do once we met up, we were gonna go ahead and walk up to the bus stop. Now, the bus stop was on 39th and Truth. This was the bus stop that we actually went up to wait for the bus. Now, at this time, back in this day, and it didn't last long. I don't know if some hoodlums knocked it down or whatever. But on the bus stop, right on the corner of 39th and Truth, they used to have these big, like, white, I never understood what these white things were, but they had this huge, like, white thing. It was very tall and wide, and it just stood right there at the bus stop. Like it was the bus, it was the bus stop sign, it was the actual bus stop seat, it was the little bus schedule to let you know when the bus would come, and then there was this big old huge white thing. It wasn't very wide, but it was very tall. So we get up there, and as we're walking up there, we saw that we had just missed the bus, and the bus runs like every 15-20 minutes, I believe. Y'all, it was dark outside, it's late, we should have been in the house, but we was out trying to be hot. So we get up to the bus stop or whatever, and we just all talking to each other. We were so excited because we had been over there before, but it was in the daytime, and this was the first time we had been over there in the nighttime. And it's all kind of men standing on the bus stop. It's women on the bus stop too, but it's more men, and some of them look kind of like maybe they own the stuff. They might be some fiends, you know. So we was kind of like staying real close together. This is me and this is her. We was up on each other. And all of a sudden, one of the guys that were standing outside at the bus stop with us, he was like, hey y'all, it's a dude trying to get y'all attention. It's a dude in that BMW trying to get y'all attention. Like, we looking kind of like, what? Who you talking to? All of a sudden, it clicked fast to me like, BMW, that's probably my daddy. I didn't think my dad was going to be off work yet. He normally tells me when he's about to come home. So when I told him I was leaving the Ebony's, I'm assuming he would have said, well, I'll be home in a little bit. But no, I was so in a rush to get to Bob's damn grandmother's house that I didn't think to ask him questions. I'm like, Ebony, I think my daddy is behind us. Because we was facing, our backs were facing towards the street. And I heard, Bossy! Bossy! I froze. My tongue went down in my throat. I started to panic, and we were right next to the white thing. The white thing. I was like, Ebony, my daddy is behind us in the car. I know he is. So I slowly pulled her over, and I tried to have us be able to like hide behind the white thing because it was right next to where we were. Oh my God, it was so crazy. I tried to shift her over with me, like, this is the white thing, this is us. And as the guy was saying that somebody was trying to get our attention, and I hear my father yelling and screaming, I try to have us shimmy towards this way where he couldn't see us anymore. It was our back, so I'm like, he couldn't know it's us. Our backs were to the street from the beginning. Oh, he knows his baby girl. And I'm the only daughter. He knows me. And I don't know how he found us or what made him come up that way, because when he comes home from work, he doesn't even go that way. So I'm like, oh my God. He was, Bossy, get your ass in this car. Ebony, get your ass in this car. And we are shitting our pants, so scared. And so then the dude that told us somebody was trying to get our attention started laughing so bad at us. He was cracking up. So we finally get in the car. I get in the back seat with Ebony. I don't even attempt to get in the passenger seat. He was like, what in the hell are y'all doing out here at night on this corner? Where the hell y'all think y'all going? And I'm like, huh? He was like, y'all big asses trying, and we wasn't even like big or nothing like that, but I guess we couldn't hide. He was like, y'all big asses is out there trying to hide behind that white thing. You act like I couldn't see y'all. He was like, what in the hell is y'all problem? And I'm I'm like, Daddy, we was riding the bus where he was like, where was y'all going? And I'd be damned if I was about to tell my daddy I was going to Bob's grandmother's house. So he's like, where the hell y'all going? Y'all, before I finish telling y'all my response, let me tell y'all this real quick. Sometimes if my dad worked too late, because my mom and my father were divorced, and a lot of times on the weekend we would go to my mom's house. But sometimes if me and Ebony wanted to hang out, you know, at her house, I would not go to my mom's for the weekend. But anyway, sometimes if I was going to my mom's house, if my dad worked entirely too late, I would get on the metro with my brothers and we would ride the bus to my mom's house. Granted, it would be earlier in the day. It wouldn't be dark, because like the bus dropped us off right where her townhome like complex was. So all we had to do was, once we got off the bus, walk right up the street and we was at our mom's house, because my mom didn't drive. So if my dad for whatever reason couldn't take us, that's what we would do. So when he asked us, where the hell was y'all going this late at night? I shoved Ebony in the leg and I was thinking, I got this, don't say nothing. I was like, Daddy, we was gonna go to my mama's house. He was, you don't get on no damn bus this late at night. I thought you was spending the night at Ebony's house. I was like, well, we decided to, but then I decided we wanted to go to my mama's house. So he's still yelling at us because we on this bus stop, especially on 39th and Truce, late at night. Crazies is out there on the streets. And he was like, so what you want me to do? You want me to take you to your mama's house? And I was like, nah, we'll just go back down to Ebony's house. Went back to our neighborhood and he dropped us off back at Ebony's house. We walk up to the porch or whatever, and my daddy's watching us the whole time. But we having a game plan, because we trying to go see these boys. Boy crazy was an understatement for the way we was acting, because we was determined to go see them. We get on the porch and I'm like, look, when my daddy leaves, let's go jet for the bus stop again, because once he leaves, I know he's going home. So let's just go ahead and go to the bus stop again. Just crazy and stupid, silly, y'all. Don't judge me. I was young and dumb. So we get in to Ebony's house or whatever, and her grandma was like, what are y'all doing back? I thought you spent the night at Basima's. And she was like, Grandma, I had to come back and get something. She was like, I will hurry up, shoot. So we waited in Ebony's room for like maybe 10-15 minutes just to be careful to make sure my dad was at home. So we finally leave out of her room, go out the house, and I look down the street, because you could see my house from down the street. We lived like 7 or 8 houses apart from each other, but it was a long block. So being bad, trying to be grown, we left out of the house. I looked down the street to see if my father's car was there. His car was there, so we was in the clear. We walked back up to 39th and Truce, waited for the next bus. The bus came, took us to Bob's and Clark's grandmother's house. Of course, we stayed, did stuff we didn't have no business doing. And the next morning, we made sure to get up early so we could get on the bus to get back to Ebony's grandmother's house. We were gonna go back to Ebony's grandmother's house because her grandmother went to the boat in the morning times. So we knew she wasn't gonna be home. Not even maybe 10 minutes, we at Ebony's house. The phone rings and it's her grandmother. And she was like, what are y'all doing there? I thought y'all was down the street at Basima's house. She was like, well, we decided to come back down here or whatever, because we was kind of bored up there. I'm looking like, girl, don't be saying you was bored at my house. So she was like, oh, well, I'll be there in a little bit. Y'all want something to eat? And we was like, yeah. So I guess she went to stop at Burger King to get us some breakfast or whatever. So she gets to the house and you know, you just got a feeling something ain't right. I'm sitting there like, she was being like, her grandmother and my dad act alike. They was both very strict, very strict. They didn't take no mess. They both cursed like sailors. You know, they was some hardcore parents and grandparents. So she's being extra nice. So all of a sudden, we sitting there, we eating, but I'm feeling like something's not right. Next thing you know, the doorbell rings. And the doorbell rings. And Ebony's grandmother says, Ebony, go get the door. So when Ebony goes to open the door, first she looks out the blinds. She opens the door and there stands my father. There stands my father. So he walks in and he says whatever he says to Miss Jackson, which is Ebony's grandmother. And they just looking at each other, and he sits on the couch, and they tell us to come in the living room where they're at. So we leave out of the dining room and go into the living room, and they asked us where we were last night. So y'all probably thinking, well, if they knew y'all weren't where y'all said y'all was, why wouldn't they call the police, come looking for y'all? Why wouldn't they do this? This is what happened, y'all. That entire night we left, up until the morning, they thought we were where we said we were going to be. What happened was, my father, I guess, left earlier for work than normal, or he left to go get something. He probably went to the Whole Foods store. I don't know what he was doing. My father saw us walking back down the street from the bus stop. And instead of stopping us like he did that night and saying something to us, I guess he continued to watch us walk until we made it down to Ebony's house. And I guess, I don't know if he called Ebony's grandmother. I don't know what happened within that time. It's like stuff happened so fast. So they asked us again, where was y'all at last night? And I said, Basimba, just give it up. In my head, I'm thinking, give it up. You have lost, girl. It is nothing else you can do. Your daddy knows you ain't gonna go nowhere else. You can't lie and say you was at this auntie's house. You can't lie and say you was at this friend's house, because your daddy know you don't deal with them people like that, and he don't know their parents. So you can't lie. Just give it up, girl. Give it up. And Ebony, she couldn't lie and say we was nowhere either, because it's the same situation with us. We was the ones that was always together if we wasn't with our best friends. And we didn't really spend a night at our other best friend's house, so we didn't, I don't know, we just didn't think, we didn't think this out good enough. And plus, we shouldn't have done it anyway. We ended up getting in trouble very bad. We were on punishment for a very long time, like a very long time. They did find out we went to go see boys. My father did call Bob's grandmother. They had a conversation, you know. She said she wasn't aware that we were there. My dad talked to Bob's mother. You know, I wasn't able to talk to Bob on the phone for like a long time unless I really sneaked. And I had to really sneak. I don't know why I did this stuff when it came to this boy, but yeah, I really sneaked to speak with him. But yeah, my daddy was highly pissed, and so was Ebony's grandmother. So we was in trouble for a good minute. We couldn't spend a night at each other's house for, I don't know, it felt like 6 months, and we was like always together. So that was cut short. We couldn't come to each other's house no more for a long time, because they said we always plotting and scheming. So that is the time that we got caught going to a boy's house. Was it worth it? No, it wasn't. Especially not for me, because the longer I dealt with him, the worse my life got. You know, besides my blessings, which was my daughters, everything else was down to shits. Ebony didn't mess with Clark no more, which he had a girlfriend the whole time, and we did not know this. So that was jacked up too. But yeah, that's the time that we got caught. I recommend no kids to go sneak out to see no grimy little snake looking boys. Don't sneak out, period, because something could happen. We could have got kidnapped. We could have got murdered up on that corner. Anything could have happened. You guys, I'm not condoning anything we did. Everything we did was very stupid. We could have got kidnapped, murdered. We could have, anything could have happened to us. So you don't think when you're in the moment, especially as a teenager, you just think about what you want to do right then and there. You don't care. You don't think about the consequences. We were very lucky nothing bad happened to us. So y'all know, with my daughters, because I have daughters and I have a daughter that's about to become a teenager, I'm gonna be on them like a hawk. Like, I'm not playing no games, because I know how I was. And kids is 10 times worse now these days, and I'm just trying to prepare myself. I'm probably too paranoid, thinking they doing something and they not, but I just have to be prepared. So yeah, that is the time that we got caught going to some boys' house to see some Raggedy Bob and Clark. And I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. And make sure to check the cards, because I will ask y'all, like, what type of story times would y'all like to see if it's ever happened to me. I'm not just gonna be doing those stories and I ain't never experienced it or nothing like that, because I just don't like that fake stuff. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye, loves.